Hello, it's Mr. Knight. This is for Algebra 2.7. We're looking at solving proportions using the cross product, and I showed you the cross product briefly on the last video. But let's go ahead and get started. Here's our vocabulary. In a proportion, a cross product is the product of the numerator of one ratio and the denominator of another ratio. So you're getting ready to see that in just a minute, but if I had one ratio, which is A over B, is equal to another ratio, C over D. Cross product tells you this, that A times D is equal to C times B, and basically you're just multiplying the diagonals, okay? So here's the cross product. They give you more information here. The cross product proportion are equal. So if A over B, that's one ratio, is equal to another ratio, C over D, where B does not equal 0 and D does not equal 0, then this piece right here, A times D, is equal to B times C. So basically you're multiplying the diagonals, okay? And then on a scale drawing, here, actually I'm going to raise this a little bit. On a scale drawing, or I'm sorry, a scale drawing is a two-dimensional drawing of an object in which the dimensions of the drawing are proportional to the dimensions of the object. So basically you're going to be using a scale factor, and you'll be given a drawing ratio, or you'll be given the actual ratio, and then you have to solve for some unknown, if you will, either on a scale model or something on the drawing itself or something in actuality. So anyway, you'll be using a scale factor. So now let's look at the next one. A scale model, very similar to scale drawing, is a three-dimensional. So a scale drawing is two-dimensional, scale model is three-dimensional model of an object in which the dimensions of the model are in proportion to the dimensions of the object. So it's very similar to the drawing itself. All right, and then the scale, this is the scale factor I was telling you about. That's a scale that you would use. The scale of a scale drawing or a scale model relates the drawings or model's dimension and the actual dimensions, okay? So that scale factor relates your actual drawing or your model to the actual figure itself, or the actual two-dimensional shape itself, okay? So that's the scale. So let's move on. So now here's our proportion. 20 divided by 35 is equal to 8 over x. 20 divided by 35 is equal to 8 over x. So you write your original proportion. And then we're going to use the cross product, which basically you're going to cross multiply. So 20 times x is equal to 8 times 35. So you have 20x is equal to 280. Divide both sides by 20, and you come up with an answer of x is equal to 14. Okay, and then the solution is 14. You can check your solutions by substituting 14 in for, I'm stepping on my cord there, 14 in for x for the original proportion, so you can actually substitute this in. You have 20 over 35 is equal to 8 over 14, and then you can actually, one way to double check is if you multiply those. 20 times 14 would be 280, is equal to 8 times 35 would be 24, 40, 280, all right? So 280 is equal to 280, therefore you know that your 14 is correct, okay? So now it's your turn. You have 1 and 2 and 3. You have 1, 2, and 3. Pause the video, run through these, use the cross product to solve, or any other method that we actually talked about on the previous video. And then once you have answers for these, start the video back up, and then we'll check our answers, okay? All right, so let's check our answers right here. I'm going to pick a different color, blue. So if I go ahead and use the cross product, I have 126x is equal to 3150. Divide both sides by 126, you find out that x is equal to 25. All right. If I look at number 2, again, cross product, we have 21y is equal to, cross product here would be 9y plus 72. Let's bring the y over here. So that gives me, what is that, 12? So I have 12y is equal to 72. And then if I divide both sides by 12, I would have y is equal to 6. Okay. And then if I look at number 3 here, we use the cross product, so that's going to be 24z. And then I have this, which would be 28z plus 4140. Okay. And we can pull the 28 over there, That's minus, sorry, minus 40, 140. So I'm going to pull the 28z over there, so that gives me negative 4z is equal to negative 140. And then divide both sides by negative 4. Z is going to be equal to 35, okay? So z is equal to 35, y is equal to 6, and then x is equal to 25. All right, so let's go on. Let's see what's next. Write and solve a proportion. So here's a word problem. So a bag of large breed dog food recommends feeding a dog 3 cups of food a day for every 40 pounds. So there's a ratio right there, because a ratio is a relationship between two numbers. It's a relationship between two quantities. So 3 cups for 40 pounds, a body weight, and then a dog weighs 98 pounds. They want to know how much food. So that means my X is going to be for the food. That's the cups of dog food, and I know the weight is 98 pounds. Remember, I told you when you set up your proportion, you need to make sure that you match up to your units. Okay, so there's my proportion. So I have the same thing right here. Then I use the cross product. Okay, so you have 3 times 98, 40 times x. 294 is equal to 40x. Divide both sides by 40, and you get 7.35 or 7 3500ths of a cup. 7.35 cups. And that would feed a dog that weighs 98 pounds, which is a very big dog. Maybe, yeah, it's a very big dog. Okay, so let's see what's next. Use a scale on a blueprint. Okay. So blueprint of an office building has a scale 2 inches to 15 feet. So there's one ratio right there. 2 inches, 15 feet. Okay, so your scale that they give you is always one of your two ratios. Then it says a completed scale model of the building is about 14.5 inches tall. So I know when I deal with scale drawings, scale models, it's always typically we write the scale value over the actual. Okay. So scale over the actual. So there's my scale, there's my actual. That's on the scale factor itself. So now I have a completed scale model of the building is about 14.5 inches tall. So 0.5 inches tall, that would be my scale value. That goes on my numerator. Estimate the actual height. So you need the actual height. All right. So this was my scale factor that I'm using, 2 inches, 15 feet. I know that the building is 14.5 inches tall. That's the scale model. So what's the actual? So cross multiply is 2 times x equals 14.5 times 15. 2x is equal to 217.5. Divide both sides by 2, and that gives you 108.75. So the actual height of the building is 108.75 feet tall. All right. So let me scroll down here. I think this is one of your problems here. So for exercise, yeah, 2 and 3. So you need to pause the video. I want you to do number 4, and then you have number 5, you had number 6, and you have number 7. I'm going to extend the page a little bit. So stop the video, do 4, 5, 6, and 7, and then start the video back up, and then we'll check our answers, okay? All right, so let's look at number 4. Let's pick a different color here. Let's do red. Okay, so a car travels 135 miles in 4 gallons. So there's one ratio right there. I'm going to write 135 miles over 4 gallons, and it doesn't matter whether I put 4 gallons over 135, as long as when I write that second ratio that I'm consistent in how I'm doing it. So then it wants to know how many gallons of gasoline, so I know X is going to be on the bottom, that's gallons, will be used to travel 540, all right? So first thing you do is you go ahead and cross multiply. So that would be 135x is equal to 540 times 4, which is 2160. 2160, divide both sides by 135, and you'll find out that x is 16, and that would be 16 gallons. Okay, so it takes 16 gallons to drive 540 miles, which is the exact same thing as driving 135 miles and only using 4 gallons. All right, so let's look at the blueprint. So a scale, 3 centimeters to 5 meters. So I have 3 centimeters to 5 meters, and I'm going to guess this is the same scale on each one of these, 5 meters, and then it's 3 centimeters to 5 meters. All right, so equals, and they're giving me given measurement to find the actual. So I am always finding the actual. Actual is going to be on the denominator, okay? And so your numerator is exactly the problem that they give you. 8.1, and then this one is actually going to be, that's an x, sorry, 0.6 okay? So you're solving for the actual in each case. So in number 5, after you do the cross product, you would find out that x is equal to 7.5 meters. And then in number 6, you would find out that x is equal to 13.5 meters. And then in number 7, you would find out that x is equal to x is equal to 1 meter. Okay. So there's your answers for those 3. Let's see, do I have another one next? No, that is it. So this concludes the video on 2.7, solving proportions using the cross product. So have a beautiful day, and we'll see you next video.